to Woodland Permaculture. I'm Jenny Wood, and today is apple tree pruning part 2. If you remember, I pruned this apple tree back in the fall in September, I think. October, November, December, January. So it's been 4 months. And if you remember, I'm only supposed to trim a tree 1/3 of it at a time. I think I went over that in September, but I am now back in January to prune it some more so that I can get it to the right height, so that I can reach my apples a little easier, so that the branches are not competing with each other for light and for nutrients. This tree, I don't think had been pruned in many, many years, if ever, and so it was very gnarled and branches going in all different directions, and so I'm trying to get them all into a nice vase shape where most of the branches are going kind of at a 45-degree angle up towards the sky, not down, not sideways, not crossing, not drooping. I've had a lot of drooping branches, and so I'm trimming off all of those. And I'm also remembering that in January, in winter, when you prune a tree, it grows more in the spring. So I'm remembering as I'm pruning to prune it back to little buds that are growing in the direction that I want the next branch to grow into. So, looking at this right now, we've got some dead leaves, some old apples and stuff like that here. Taking those off. You can see lots of branches doing all kinds of crazy things, and I'm going to prune some of these back. And I'm going to try and remember that I'm pruning for growth. Back in the fall, I was pruning and it wasn't going to grow much after that. So those cuts would be pretty permanent. But today, I'm hoping that this will grow more in the spring and hopefully work its way to producing more apples. Let's see what I'm going to do. Hold on, I'll come right back. All right, I brought you in a little bit closer, hopefully so that you can see some of the things I'm doing. These branches here are too tall. I'm on a ladder right now of 3 steps, and I don't really want to have to bring out a ladder every time I pick apples. And so I want to bring these down a little bit so that they're a little shorter and growth comes out from lower down. There's a branch here and a branch here that are basically going in the same direction. This one's got a branch that kind of comes out sideways, kind of vertical, not vertical, horizontal. And then this one also, it's hard to see, has a branch that kind of comes down like that. So I actually think I'm going to take off this branch right here altogether at the base with a heading cut. No, that's a thinning cut. A thinning cut that will take it off and it won't grow back. And this one I'm going to bring down a little bit with a heading cut, which will grow from buds near where I prune it. So I'll show you that too. But first I'm going to take off this branch right here. Okay, so I just learned a little more about pruning at my Santa Cruz Permaculture food forest course this last weekend, and they taught me a trick with your loppers or with your hand pruners. There's 2 sides of them, the blade side and then this side, which kind of crushes whatever it is and really holds it. And you want to have the blade side closest to the tree or to the branch, part of the branch that you're keeping, so that it slices through cleanly, and the part that's getting smashed or crushed is not going to be staying on the tree. So I'm trying to remember that too. And I'm probably should be using a different tool. There we go. So that branch is gone, and then this one, I definitely want to cut below this branch, and I want to cut right above some buds that will grow in directions that I want it to grow in. So I think I'm going to prune it right about here. There's a bud that goes out that way and a bud that comes out this way, and so I think those are the buds I want to keep. There we go. So that really took like a couple of feet off of the height. Now, here's a branch that's cutting across this one that I just pruned. So I want to prune that one back, and I think I'm going to just take that one off in a thinning cut. That one's just a small one. This one right here, you can see how this is getting really close to these as well. I think I actually want to prune this branch back quite a ways, but I don't want to take it all the way off. I want to do a heading cut so that it keeps growing, but I want it to grow in the right direction. Way down there is a little bud that's going up in this direction, and that's more of the direction I want branches to go. So I'm going to cut it back to there. There we go. So now that one's out of the way of all of these other branches. And when it does start to grow in the spring, it'll start growing in a better direction where other branches aren't. Okay, let's see what else we have. This branch right here is another one that's kind of drifting down. They probably did that because they weren't getting enough light. So they were searching for light because there was a huge tangle of branches in that area. So I see some great buds right here that are going to grow up in that direction. I'm going to trim this back to that bud right there so that it grows up in that direction and get rid of all the stuff that's looping down. There we go. Good. Now this branch here is just fine, I think, and it's going in a good direction. But I want to encourage it to grow a little bit more. So I'm just going to do a little heading cut and cut it back just a little bit. Right. There. And there's a couple little buds right behind that cut that are growing in good directions. All right, what else are we doing here? Here's a branch right here that is cutting across another branch and hanging down. I'm just going to take that whole branch off because it's not going to give me a lot, and it's just getting in the way of everything. That was a thinning cut so that it's just going to not grow back, and it's just going to go away. Here's another branch right here that's kind of crossing. See how these two branches are crossing like that? We don't want that. So I'm gonna trim those back somehow. What am I doing? I think I'm gonna just take this one branch off. And then I think I'm gonna head cut this one back to here. There we go. This one here is starting to come towards this branch here. I don't want it to keep doing that, so I'm going to head cut that one back to another bud that will go in a different direction. Now I think I'm going to move a little bit and go tackle those two branches over there. All right, so these two branches again are just getting too tall, and I want to cut them back so that they're not so tall. Let's see, I don't like that branch. I think I'm going to cut this one back to right about here, where it has a branch coming out. And once I cut that, all the energy that would have been going into the rest of that big branch is now going to go into this little bud, and so it will start growing in this direction in the spring. And this part looks dead, so I'm trimming off the dead part. There we go. This branch here is kind of funky, but oh wait, this one. I think I'm just going to cut this one back because it's too tall. I'm going to cut this one back to this bud right here. There's one right here that's looking really good, but it's going in towards the rest of the tree, and I want this one to be going up in that direction. So I'm going to cut this branch back right here. There we go. And this one, I'm going to cut, I think I'm just going to do a thinning cut on this one. There we go. All right, we're making some progress. I'll come back when I'm closer to done and let you know how I'm doing. Okay, now I am tackling a few things down closer to the bottom of the tree. As you can see, we've got kind of a gnarled mess right here. That's kind of what the entire tree was like when I first tackled this back in September. There's this main branch right here that's coming out, and it's, for the most part, it's fine, but then it has this funky branch that grows out of it and comes down and has part of a mess there. I'm just going to take that entire branch out. This is a thinning cut. There we go. Not a pretty thinning cut. See if I can trim that up a little. Let me use my hand trimmers so I can trim that up a little bit. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I'll edit all of that out. Okay, so now I've got this branch. That's cleaned up a little bit, but now I've got another funky branch right here. I'm going to take that one out. Some thinning cuts here so that the branches that are left can thrive a little better. There goes that one. This one right here, that seems to be going in a pretty good direction. I don't know that it's really, yeah, it's still alive. I'm going to cut that back just a little bit to encourage it to grow in that direction. We'll see how that does. And then here's a branch here that's kind of, look at that, crossing, getting all entangled. It's just a little weak kind of sucker branch, so I'm going to just take those off. There we go. Let's see, the rest of this branch right here I'm going to take off. It's like completely vertical. That's not going to help anything. There we go. And then it goes out here, and I think I'm just going to take off some of these little branches. This one, I think I'm going to head cut that one a little bit. Maybe these parts will grow. This is a good spot out here, hopefully. Same with this one. Yeah, I don't like this branch. I think I'm just going to take it. That one looked kind of dead. This here looks pretty dead too. Take that off. There we go. This one, I'm going to take that one off. That one looks good over there. I like that. This one curves up. I think for the most part it's okay. But this one, I'm going to do a heading cut right here. I don't know if you can see this little bud right here, but maybe it will grow up in that direction. Wait, I don't like that. Let's do it down a little further to this bud, which will grow out that way, away from this branch. That's much better. This branch right here, I think I'm going to cut the end of this part off right here, right before this bud, so that that bud can go off in this direction. That's good. Okay. So I think I've got a little bit more to do, but that kind of gives you the idea of what I'm doing today and a little bit more about pruning. Now, if I did a true third the first time and then another third, I'd probably do another pruning again in summer again, but I don't know that I'll do that. We'll see. I want to see how, once I'm done pruning it, how it grows in spring, if it makes some apples. I'm expecting to have fewer apples with all of this pruning just because I think it needs to take a year to kind of recover and grow new branches that will actually produce apples. So I'm not going to expect a lot of apples from it this year, but I do hope that it will grow and start thriving a little bit more. And here is a shot from a little bit distant, so you can see what the overall shape of the tree has ended up to be. It's a lot better than it was when I started. After my last pruning, this area was like way up here, and this area over here was really short in comparison, so it really looked lopsided. So it looks much more even now and much more manageable in the future. So for now, I think I'm pretty happy with it. I'm going to go ahead and leave it and see what it does in the springtime. And over the next couple of weeks, if I see some other little branches I need to get, I'll do that. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with how it looks. It's much smaller than it was and a much nicer shape. And I think a lot more sun will get into it, and I think it'll be a lot healthier. Thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate it. And stay warm. It's warm here in California, but in a lot of places in this country, it's freezing cold. So stay warm and stay safe from COVID. I'm hoping you guys and all of us can start getting vaccines so that we can get back to normal. You guys, God bless, and thank you for joining me.